decided to just do 6 or 7 episodes at the same time today. So I hope you're strapped in for this 6 hour podcast marathon that we're about to get started on. Welcome. And for anyone that has decided that they're going to sit through the entire thing, Alternate Visuals has promised to buy you
I apologize for my crazy friend. He believed he was actually talking to the into the internet. He was not. That entire spiel went acquitted. I was trying to tell him, but he kept on talking, so I just let him have that. I did actually unmute him for a few minutes of it, and then I put him back on mute. So at least that way people know that there was people there.
I love that you had to say a few minutes of it. That it like lasted long enough where you could. It was valid to call it a few minutes.
I just needed that to be stated. He thought he was live. I unfortunately need to take him back to the home. I don't know how he got out. He gets out regularly on Mondays around 9 o'clock. I have yet to figure out how he's doing this. It's very really worrying. He somehow managed to get out of the home at 9 o'clock every night. I don't know how you do it. I'm like, I keep paying the staff more and more just to keep you in there. I don't know how you're getting out. But okay, Siri.
My secret is 2 words.
I am afraid to figure out what these 2 words are.
Fabulous blowjobs. I just offer a blowjob to whoever's keeping me in there. Word got out how good they are, and they just let me out. And as long as I keep doing the blowjobs, they're going to keep letting me out.
He gets out by giving head. That's basically what I just got from that entire sentence.
Sometimes you need to give head to get ahead, you know?
Oh, God. Okay, we're here to review episode 13 of Frieren.
Are we actually live?
Yeah, we're live. We've been live for actually about an hour, but nobody heard us or anything like that because we were muted.
Well, I mean, it's on the internet, so it's going to be out there for forever now. But, I can never run for president again.
Like you're ever going to run for president?
But if I wanted to, it's definitely too late now.
Nah, I mean, they would never find it. If they ever did find it, you already served your 8 years.
We don't know with AI how quick it's going to be to find it by the time I run it, but yeah.
Episode 13 of Frieren. I uncharacteristically watched this episode twice. One yesterday, and then one.
So nice. It was so nice. He watched it twice.
I don't know. I just needed a reboot of this episode. I need to remember everything that happened. But basically, I'm actually caught off guard. I was not expecting them to add a 4th character to their roster. So we are now introduced to a character called Sign this episode, who's a priest. Which I guess makes sense that they probably would need one after what Stark just did to himself, but I mean, so hopefully maybe we can go back and forth. You can go in your notes, and I can do a little talking. So we hopefully won't be here too long. Hopefully. I'm not gonna guarantee that's gonna work.
I have no idea how many notes I have for this.
Oh God. So we're gonna hopefully go back and forth to get through your notes and for me to interject a little bit. So this episode basically is surrounding around Sign, a priest, a genius priest, I should say, who we get introduced to, who I was not anticipating again. I understood that we're only gonna be following around Stark, Frieren, and Fern. So when introduced to a 4th character, I was stunned. I was like, "Are you serious? Are they gonna add a 4th character to the list of characters?" I'm actually kind of curious if we're gonna have a series where we're gonna be rotating through an extra 4th character, because he does make mention that he's not gonna stay with them. He's only gonna stay for them long enough to find his friend. But I don't know how long that's gonna be. Who really knows? Off the bat, Sign's interesting character. Reminds me a little bit of Hyder, but maybe that's on purpose, considering that
he's like way too much like Hyder. I wish they hadn't made him so much like Hyder.
He smokes, he gambles. Based on the way Fern was talking, it sounds like these are how all priests are. So it's possible
Can
that for Hyder. Huh?
Can I get off topic for a second and mention one thing tangential to what you're talking about?
I am afraid, but go ahead.
I felt like the animation kind of goofed a tiny bit here, and one of them, the first one I'm going to say is going to sound a little too picky, but those are very like modern day looking cigarettes that he smokes.
Aren't those the same cigarettes that Hyder smoked?
I don't remember Hyder smoking, maybe, but if it's still very, very modern day looking cigarettes. They look like mass produced types of cigarettes you get at a gas station today. But even more relevant, if you go to 20 minutes and 50 seconds, they give you a close up of his glasses on his face, like where they show his nose and stuff like that. And he wears very oddly modern glasses. Like the nose pieces have little silicone pads and stuff on them. For a world without electricity, I have no idea how they got silicone pads for his glasses.
Magic?
Do you know what I'm saying, though?
I mean, if this world didn't have magic, I would be nitpicking those too. But
okay, but magic doesn't make silicone
yes, it can.
happen. It can, but if no one's ever heard of silicone, why would it make silicone? Like, who made the spell for something that doesn't exist yet?
Who makes half the spells that Frieren like collects or whatever this world? I mean, I feel like honestly, being serious, I honestly can dispel a lot of that just with magic. I know you can't, but like, I mean, for me, it's like I don't really find that too weird, in my honest opinion.
Okay, but like if you made like a Game Boy and started playing a fucking Game Boy, I feel like you'd agree with me that that's a little bit out of universe, right?
I mean, it depends on what the Game Boy looked like.
If it looked like a Game Boy, because it's a Game Boy.
I mean, anything. I mean, what you were saying is like it could be made out of wood and still be functioning. And so you're saying that it's made to look like an actual like what we had in this universe. To me, it's like I don't know. Now, granted, yeah, it would be weird. I'm not gonna sit there and say it wouldn't be weird.
What I'm saying is he's wearing something that looks exactly like modern day manufactured glasses, all the way down to the little silicone pads, and it took me out of universe a little bit. Like it broke my suspension of disbelief for a moment, because I don't want to debate about it for like 45 minutes or anything, but I noticed it and it didn't feel like it was part of the universe, and then I went on with my life, you know what I mean? But I did notice it, you know. I'm not mad, but I wanted to point out that it was an interesting choice to animate him with. It's like, I don't know, it's like when you watch Lord of the Rings, if you look really carefully at one point, you can see a car in the background. And if you notice that, then you're like, oh, that doesn't belong there. You know what I mean? And this is that same thing. Like, oh, that didn't belong there. And then I pulled myself back into the story. But like, it was just a little tiny disruption for a second that I noticed.
But here's the thing. I'm not. This isn't me. But I'm just saying, like, you make
laser guns. Literally, magic can make laser guns. So why can't I make glasses?
I'm not talking about magic. I'm just talking about what you're talking about. What you're nitpicking. The glasses weren't a thing made. I guess if we're going by the time period in which like the glasses didn't get made until many years later. There are people who are close-sighted, who freaking. I mean, look at like what's his name? One of the painters. I forgot the name of the painter, but a lot of painters are claimed to have been nearsighted, or you know they couldn't see. Really freaking.
You're probably thinking of Monet.
One of them.
Monet was famous for being nearsighted.
But all I'm really saying is you're nitpicking that detail, but like there's no other way you could really like make glasses. And on top of it, to me, they didn't take me out of anything. You absolutely
can make glasses. Were made for probably hundreds of years, or at least 100 years before silicone was discovered. Like silicone is highly like was created like around the time that plastic was created, or afterwards. Like plastic doesn't belong in this universe either. Like it's just something that was a scientific, like a refined scientific discovery and development that happened way after electricity was discovered and harnessed. You know what I mean?
But actually, what I find really weird is you're saying that it doesn't belong in this universe, but it's like this is an animated world. Magic exists, like because what exists here. I'm saying what does exist here isn't something that exists anywhere else. Like magic is such a fantasy element. I could literally sit there and say, yeah, it could make silicon. It doesn't mean things get made accidentally all the time. I mean, look at the freaking peanut butter cup. That wasn't something they were trying to make it. They just made it accidentally. Like legitimately, it was made by accident.
But if they made a peanut butter cup in this, like, I didn't complain about the ice cream sundae because even though ice cream is very hard to make it without electricity, I didn't feel bad about that because, like, I was like, I can understand if with the technology they had, especially because it was presented like it was a very special thing, I could understand with the technology they had how they could have like figured out ice cream. But
so
like
magic isn't good enough is what you're saying?
I'm saying that they intentionally, like in a fantasy genre like they're in right now, they usually intentionally avoid introducing science of like the modern age because it's not typically part of the fantasy genre. Now sometimes they do, like Terry Brooks writes fantasy books and they're set in a post-apocalyptic world, and sometimes science happens in them, and that's fine because it's intentional. I think this was like a mistake. I think that the animators didn't think hard enough about it and put something in there that doesn't quite belong there. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, I'm not mad. It's not the end of the world. But I did notice that didn't seem like it belonged.
What's the name of the priest? Really quick, I need to see. Not the one, not Sign, but the other guy, his brother.
I can't. I didn't pick it up. I watched it the second time and tried to pick it up, and I didn't pick it up.
Crap. One of the Sign's brother.
Why?
That's why I looked something up in the manga. I wish I had the manga just to check to see.
Sign is all over the place, in the anime and in the manga and, in the wikis and stuff like that. But the brother's not. It's like sign everywhere sign,
All right.
Do this, don't do that. Can't
I don't
find
see
the
these
sign.
glasses, but they do appear around or whatever like that.
It's not the shape of the glasses. It's the silicone pads.
I'm asking that they don't appear. They don't appear in the manga, as far as I can tell.
Okay. Anyway, the little silicone pads I thought might have been a animation oversight. And I knew when I told you that I'd have to like fight tooth and nail to get you to agree that it was even possibly an oversight. But
I still don't think it's an oversight. To me personally, this isn't me trying to be antagonistic. For me, you say it took you out, it didn't for me. I saw them, I really did, but I overlooked them. Just like the ice cream. I don't
because
really
I noticed stuff like that, and it's my curse. Because if I didn't notice stuff like that, I could just enjoy things more. But unfortunately, that's not how my brain works.
I noticed things that bother me. I'm just saying, for me, the glasses just seem like, to me, it's like I don't believe that there was a way that would have made sense. Because like if I saw the glasses and they had chosen bamboo, I probably would have said, why do they look like that? They look so odd to me. So something would have taken me out. So maybe it's better that you got taken out.
I don't think it would be bamboo. I think they could have just made like old timey or somewhat less scientifically advanced glasses, you know what I mean, to represent the type of glasses they wore in the period they are loosely trying to imitate. But that period definitely did involve like going to Sears and picking up a set of glasses that like were stylish, had silicone pads, and were designed. It's like it is extreme because Sears isn't around anymore, but it's like you'd go to like Target or something like that and buy glasses like that. That's what they look like. And that's not extreme. It looks exactly like a modern standard set of glasses.
So it looked
they
like
don't even look like a retro pair. Like if you went in and said I wanted a retro pair, you'd get something that looked more old fashioned than that.
And according, at least what I can look at, it looks like there's still pads on these things, even the oldest pair. Except with a reading stone, that seems weird. But 7-year-old.
What are you looking at? I'm sorry. Are you looking at like old-fashioned glasses?
I mean, I don't know, like when were glasses invented? A complete evidence-based history. I don't know how evidence-based this is, but the image that they're showing me on glasses.com, which is something I never heard of before in my life. Is this a freaking site? So yes, it is. Never mind. Because there are glasses.
So I'll show you a picture. I'll show you a picture. This is what
my thing is, like, how did it stay on your face? Because like I as somebody who had glasses without pads on them, they always fell off my face. Just want to put that out as evidence.
Yeah, I don't think they were the greatest they could be. I think that is a pair of old-fashioned glasses, and I'm guessing that they stayed on your face because those little hooks in the back had something that attached them.
They wouldn't stay on your face. They probably not fall to the ground though, because those are like.
I think you probably held it to your face with a string, but it looks like glasses were popularized and accessible somewhat in like the 18th century. But all of the examples I'm looking at seem to have that bendy part in the back, or almost all of them. So, and the bendy part has like a loop. So I'm guessing that you would use some sort of string.
I also just want to point out. I mean, this isn't me. We're gonna have to move on here. But what I want to point out is that it looks like on the image that I'm seeing that looks like anime. I don't see the pads that they apparently put on his face in the episode itself on this image of him. I can't really get really close.
You don't see the. See, I can help you with that. I'll call up the moment and take a picture with my phone.
No, I'm just seeing an image that like looks like he's from the animated show. I just don't see the pads that they put on him on the actual episode on this image. Because it looks like this is an image that like this is a version of him that they drew that was a part of the anime episode.
Mm-hmm. Did you want me to show you where I saw the pads?
I'm good. We can just move on. I feel like we keep doing.
It's a 2050. It's a 2050.
I'm good. We can move on with the episode.
I can't take a picture with a screenshot, but I can take it.
I can't look at the episode without getting the podcast like blocked or whatever like that, so I don't even bother.
Hang on.
I believe you. I don't believe you. I'm just saying, like, on the images I'm seeing, I don't see them. So, in that one instance that they did draw, I guess they drew glasses on him like you normally would. Again, for me, doesn't really bother me all that much.
Hang on.
And I don't need to see him, by the way. We can just move on. I'm trying to help us move along with the podcast, so we don't have to stick around this.
I know, but I want to take this. There's a specific moment.
Why? We don't need to. I believe you. I say I believe you.
No, you don't.
I want to move on. I mean, I think I've seen the glasses you're talking about. I mean, I'm getting vivid images of seeing.
Tell me that this is the greatest point I've ever made in any podcast that we've been on.
You're not gonna really change my mind on this idea, though.
Tell me that this is the greatest point I've ever made in any podcast that I've ever been on with you.
Why?
That's what I need. That'll stop me from looking it up.
But even if you give me that, I'm not gonna tell you that. So I don't know why getting me to tell you that and lie to you is gonna help you move on.
Because it's funny.
Yeah, we're just gonna move on with the episode. Whatever. I don't care about the glasses.
And
Apparently, you care about them.
Then tell me you love me when you're done.
I'm not doing any of this. Like, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna force this podcast further. If I had to end the podcast, I will do that too.
Can I make a can I admit something? Or you don't even want me to admit something?
You don't care either?
They're not definitely silicone. They're not definitely silicone pads. In fact, they're the same color as the rest of the glass material. I still think that it looks like silicone pads, but you're gonna see this and you're gonna say that could just be metal.
As somebody that wears glasses, I feel like we could just move on. I know you wear glasses too, but but my point is, like, I think we just need to move on.
Is the big problem that you didn't want to tell me you loved me? Is that what the big problem was?
No, this is just really awkward altogether, and like I didn't.
You did want to tell me you loved me?
I did not mean to cause this to turn down this road that apparently you're not allowing me to turn around on. Like,
I love trapping you and shit like this.
Yes, I just want to move on because like this doesn't have to be the bike over thing again, and then, like that's a whole different.
All right. Well, since I've gone ahead and gone all through all the trouble of taking a picture and sent it, why don't you look?
I mean, that's the freaking profile image I remember in my brain as I kept on seeing it over and over again. Like I said, I did not need to see it again.
But aren't you so happy that I went through all this trouble for you?
You didn't need to, no. We wasted how much time at this point?
I don't know, 20 minutes.
Like, all I said is, like, you saw them as like they didn't take me out. That's all I really said. Is like, that's as much as admitting as I'm gonna do. It it bothered you that I fine. It bothered you, you know. For me, it was fine. I didn't really focus too much on it. Though I think probably a part of that was because of how much I was angry at Fern this entire episode, but we're not gonna get to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, I think that probably is like where a lot of my attention kind of went, which is like me. I even rewatched it just to make sure I was seeing things I thought I was seeing, but whatever. Glasses aside, from wherever they came from, whatever century they came from, Siren? I think no. I completely forgot how to pronounce this man's name. All that, and I remembered how to pronounce this man's name. Thank you, Dot. I mean, Spear. Even the dog shoes.
I'm not the greatest. I'm not the greatest. Aren't you so glad you bring me into this? Include me in this for the last 7 years or whatever we've done this.
Yeah, I'm happy you're here, but I'm not happy that I forgot this man's name.
Oh, you are? You're so
priest,
happy?
Basically,
you're so happy?
The episode begins with basically the priest telling Frieren a story, which I want to say, really funny thing note about this, how this episode started. Maybe I was the only one, but when this episode started, I swear I thought I missed an episode. Because it seemed like we were picking up in the middle of something that apparently would have been a cliffhanger from the last episode. So I had to make sure to go check.
And it was just because they wanted you to not see what was happening to the guy. And so because it would have ruined the punchline.
But basically, he was apparently looking for his brother sent him into the woods to gather some herbs for the festival. He gets caught in a mud hole, and apparently Frieren just stumbles upon him, sits down on the ground, and talks to him. He tells her a story about him regretting taking his friend's hand to go on an adventure. Meanwhile, Frieren is enjoying this and says, like, "So why are you telling me this? Like, I'm telling you this so you like don't regret not taking my hand." I'm fast forwarding throughout a lot of this, but like,
and you can only imagine that he'd been there for like 20 minutes at that point. You know, I don't know how long it would take somebody to start resorting to tactics like that, but I can only imagine that like he tried everything else he could think of and then decided that maybe he should try that.
Well, how fast did it involve him? I thought it was quicksand, so maybe he wasn't there for long enough.
I don't know how long it takes for quicksand. And I think quicksand, you can kind of manipulate the time that it takes for quicksand to like cover you to some extent. I think like if you don't move as much, for example, I think it slows down how quickly you sink.
Regardless, I don't want to be nowhere near quicksand. Like, that scares me. He trusts Frieren in this, and she's like, "Well, if you be quiet for a minute, I could probably remember the spell that gets you out." Fern shows up, and she's like, "Oh, that's right." So I'm guessing what Frieren was waiting for was Fern to show up.
This is kind of a killjoy, but I just looked it up, and you never completely sink into quicksand. Like once you get to about waist deep, you don't go the rest of the way.
I don't know. Probably doesn't buy that, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I 100%. I feel like it depends on which quicksand it is, but that's what a really quick search told me that.
No, I believe. I just think I don't know if, like, personally, you never hear people surviving quicksand. I mean, if they are, they were very.
You never hear any people anything quicksand.
I mean, whatever. You know what I mean.
I've never heard of anyone actually being involved with quicksand, like in a real story.
They're dead. So you never hear about anything.
No, I mean, I've never heard so and so died in quicksand, or you know what I mean, or a tale of someone whose uncle died in quicksand, or a news story, or Florida man story, or anything like that. Like it just is a non-entity. Like I've never heard of quicksand mattering.
I feel like
Don't go there. There's quicksand. Said nobody ever. Like
I feel like there's like signs that tell you where quicksand is. I feel like people have gotten killed because why put a sign to warn you? Whatever. I mean, this is another thing. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying I don't know if I buy. Ultimately, I don't know if I buy that. No one, you can't die to quicksand. I feel like you can, but whatever. Like, what do I know? I've never gotten caught in it. Never will.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Alternate Visuals, world-renowned expert on quicksand and how it works. Alternate Visuals, will you enlighten the podcast audience today on exactly what quicksand does when someone gets talked into it? Please mansplain extremely hard to me right now. Mansplaining is my fetish, and I definitely want to get off on it right now.
Moving on, after Frieren drags, I forget his name. It's supposed to be an S. I don't know how to pronounce it. And this is gonna bother me, but like priest man, priest dude. Sign. Oh, sign.
Except in the anime they were kind of pronouncing it with a Z, like Zine. I noticed, even though it's SEIN. In the anime, I thought I heard them say Zine, which would be it's sort of interesting either way because it's kind of like Ein, which were already a name for one of the characters.
English overpronounces a lot of words. That's why all countries hate us. Moving on.
So, can I since we're talking about his name, can I throw out a little name trivia there?
I probably should have looked up what it meant, but okay, go ahead.
In German, sign means to be or his, which is confusing, right? But in Norwegian, for what it's worth, not that this anime is based on Norwegian, but it seems to fit a little bit better if you go by this. It actually means late.
I think the German explanation means just as much as the Norwegian does, but
to be or his? Why would to be or his?
To be, like he's going to be a hero. I mean, a hero, adventurer. The entire episode is basically about him regretting to not going, or thinking that he cannot be an adventurer. Basically,
but you see why I might think that late is even more on the nose, right?
No, I understand that. I mean, of course he's late, but I feel like to be still can be. It's just like you have to like be. It's a lot more thought provoking, as I want to say. You have to think about it more than late in this case, because yeah, of course he's late. That's his whole MO. Not MO, but you know, I mean, he is late to be an adventurer, and he is the last member of the group too. So it's late in that sense too.
While we're not too far away from the quicksand scene, I know I try to bring up at least once every episode that Frieren demonstrates too often that she's kind of similar to a demon. In this episode, like her weighing, like I know it's a gag, but it's also supposed to be, oh, that's our Frieren right there, you know, doing silly things and doing Frieren things, right? She's sitting here honestly debating what's the pros and cons of saving this guy's life, and she's like, well, I hear you, and you know, I normally am willing to oblige someone when they ask me to do something, but then again, you're dirty. And your hand is very dirty, and then I would have a dirty hand. And you can tell that he's been trying to talk her into saving him for a long time. So this whole thing of like, demons kind of learning through observation, what morality is and then trying to mimic it and use it for evil. It's almost like elves, if she's like, or Frieren specifically, not elves, because we've only seen one other one and he seemed much more normal. It seems like Frieren specifically is still kind of like outside of morality, trying to learn what morality is. And, and her conundrum here is like, why would I save your life? And I know it's supposed to be a lighthearted, funny moment, but it's also still deepening that theme. You know what I mean? That pattern in Frieren of not quite understanding things that she should be understanding.
I'm gonna do something I know you hate me doing, but I'm just gonna do it anyway because whatever. You did this to me earlier, so I'm just gonna retaliate. It could also be Frieren just being a douche. Well, not a douche, being a dick. I mean, she probably could understand what she was doing. I could literally sit there and also argue that she's just being funny for funny's sake. Now I will say that's still, you can still argue that and articulate that what you said is completely 100% what's really going on here. Because later on she does something too that I kind of caught my attention.
Yeah, this is not my only example for this. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but this is not my only example for this. This kind of thing going on.
I know, but I just think you can still articulate this as just her being quote unquote childish. Because I could do that and still understand what I'm doing is wrong, and it would still help out. But I would go out of my way after I've had my fun to get them out. Unfortunately, Frieren did not. She waited till Fern shows up.
I don't think even in the end, Frank showed up and did it, and then said, "I'll yell at her later for it."
I can still argue. I think I can still argue that it's just Frieren being Frieren, but I will say your argument probably makes a little bit more sense here. Also, what I want to bring up too, and I don't know why you saying Frieren similarities with Demon brought this on, but I've made well known this entire podcast watching this show how my disdain for the demons kind of just being nothing burgers. Maybe that was the intent, and I say this because after you said that, it just made me think we don't know much about the elves. We don't know much about why the elves specifically were targeted by the demons. You saying Frieren's got similarities, and it took the third time for you to say that for my brain to start thinking maybe the big bad isn't a demon. Maybe the big bad is an elf. And I say this because there is that, and I keep bringing this up. There is this character we know nothing about her. She's in the intro. She's there all the dang time, looming, just smiling all greedily, but she's not a demon.
She could be an elf. Now that you point that out,
what you said, that's what brought my attention. Is like maybe the big bad this entire time. Maybe that's why the demons were so bad and why I was so disappointed. Maybe like that was the intent. Maybe we're supposed to be surprised at the fact that an elf can be just as vicious. But you saying similarities between them, and it just brought that to my attention now of all times, like in the moment as you were talking. So I just want to bring up that, like, yeah, I'm still not 100% convinced. At the same time, that character's still kind of, it's still there, and we don't know much about her. So in my honest opinion, it's like, okay, maybe if this is the direction they're gonna go, then my interest in the show has been piqued up again. Not saying I didn't have the interest in the show, but it's saying I'm now more invested now than I was prior. If that's the direction we're going, is the fact that demons aren't as bad as the elves that are the bad ones. If that's the direction we're gonna go, this is gonna be interesting for Frieren specifically. So I'm again not saying I wasn't interested, because I'm still here watching and reviewing the show 13 episodes in, but but after you saying that, it kind of gave me some hope. It's like, okay, maybe that's where we're going, because I definitely did say that I'm disappointed by the demons. They haven't done much. They all kind of just seem kind of lame at this point, but I kind of gave up. But then after you saying that, I'm like, oh, could this be the direction we're going? Because I haven't seen many fantasy where the elves are the bad guys. There are definitely quite a few of them there are, but I never partake in any of that stuff. So it'd be interesting to see if that's where we're gonna go with an elf being the big bad. It'd be interesting, considering that they do all have magic prowess. Basically, they're one of the more powerful magic-based creatures. So having to deal with an elf, that should be interesting. Especially if she is like Frieren.
I agree. But anyway, I thought that was worth. I'm surprised that you're so open to that one, but I thought I was going to get a little more resistance to that part of the theory. But I just think that we might. The more I watch this, the more it starts feeling like that hunch that I had early on is going to pick up in relevance.
Before we move on, what hunch?
The hunch that elves are connected to the existence or creation of demons, and that there is some conceptual connection between elves and demons. Either they're like two parts of the same, you know what I mean? Or something like that. Like they either share an origin, or demons are the elves' creation or mistake or something like that. I think we're going to find out that happened.
I'm going to go, I think the demons have always existed, but maybe it's just like, demons and elves used to work together and something happens and it causes a rift between them. That's my general and easy on application. It probably won't appease everybody, but yeah. Demons being some aberration of elves. I mean, if they can make that interesting, sure, but yeah. It just dawned on me because I was like, what's the point of this character? They're not really showing us at all. Because I mean, I say we're 13 episodes in, and I've seen that elf in the intro since episode 1. So it's like I've been expecting to get some hint of her in the show, but nothing actually. Nothing.
It makes sense that the villain would be introduced after the party was introduced.
But yeah, I didn't know we didn't have the entire party, at least not in this episode, which is like what leads to the next one. It's not in the next part, but basically after Sign helps out Frieren and the gang, he offers to pay them back in the village with the festival, but Frieren says that they want to get to the next big village city so they can restock because they need to. So he warns them about poison snakes or just venomous creatures in general in the forest, and who but our lovely hero Stark gets bitten by one reaching for some berries. Not even apparently from the looks of it 5 minutes after the fact. And then Stark, which I know this next part's probably gonna get some anger from Jock here in a minute, but I'm gonna try to power through and hopefully he'll not get angry about this part. Basically after Stark gets bitten, he gets poisoned, blood starts draining from his nose, almost in a comical fashion, and they basically Frieren starts trying to figure out is it safer to go back to the village they came from or go to the next village. But according to Fern, she's only got 30 minutes of mana flight, and it's not enough time for them to fly to the next village, so they fly back. Stark is complaining. Then they manage to make it to the chapel, and then Zion's older brother freaks out, saying that he's a goner apparently. Which I find interesting that he says that, but he knows his brother is in the room behind him, and tells his brother to heal him, and his brother heals him. And then Zion says, "Well, my debts are paid. See you later." And he walks out the chapel. And then Frieren's like, "That man's a genius." And apparently the brother recognized Frieren the moment she walked in here, because he's like, "Well, I thought you would say that, Mistress Frieren." I was like, okay, a lot of people seem to notice or seem to know of Frieren apparently. And apparently he knows of Frieren because of Master Hyder, because he came to this village some time ago before he was dead.
What's the part I'm going to get mad about?
The blood in the nose.
Why is that going to make me mad?
How much blood was coming out of his nose.
It did make me mad.
That's strange, because usually when blood flows like that, you say that they should be dead.
Oh, no, I understand comic hyperbole in the anime. I'm not going to pick that apart. That doesn't bother me, at all. I think it's funny, and I think that's what they were going for.
Okay.
Am I like completely contradicting something I've said in the past because I don't remember?
No, just in general, when blood like kind of flows, you say they should be dead. This didn't seem like any
Well,
different from the way the blow was flowing. But we're not gonna. I'm not gonna. If you don't want to, you're not. No, we're not. We're not gonna. We're not gonna dwell on this. If you really had nothing to say, we're just gonna move on. Hopefully.
no, I'm just saying that like this is a well established anime trope, and I'm not gonna like forbid it. It's different than like someone bleeding like and having giant piles of blood all over the place and on the walls, and there's at least 17 gallons of it splattered in this on the side or something like that, and they're standing there going, I'm okay, you know.
I feel like the number is exaggerated. But I'm not gonna dwell on that. Just gonna.
I don't know what you're referencing. I'm just saying, like, if that hypothetically happened, I guess um, I could see myself taking some sort of issue with it, but like when we would watch Dragon Ball Super, and Roshi would have a gallon of blood come out of his nose, I understood that was exaggeration for comedic purposes. Just like the giant sweat drops that people get when they're comedically anxious in anime is a thing. I would be like, oh, nobody could sweat that much.
I have a train of thought and I completely lost it. Hold up, I'll get it back.
You lost it. You lost it years ago, and it wasn't just your train of thought.
I don't know why the first thing that came to mind was like your mom, but I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. I don't know why that's the first thought that came to mind. But see the chapel. Oh yeah, the brother brings up like he recognizes Frieren, and then he pretty much says that he's really gifted. He's got better he's got a higher aptitude for the priest stuff than he does, and he like begs them to take him with them on their adventure, because he feels bad. It's interesting that like his brother isn't the one that Hyder gave the medallion that he wears around his neck though. But I guess like Hyder didn't see Sign's abilities, or maybe he knew about him and he just said like he's better suited to be like a road priest versus like a village priest. Basically he asked him to
telling Hyder probably thought he was the one that needed the boost. He's like, you're gonna be fine.
I guess that's also true. At that, he tells Frieren like please take him with you, and then they go back to the hotel, and then Stark is like, wait, what's there to think about? Like he's like, we need a priest. It was like he's really good, and then Stark does something which is interesting and I never seen him do, which is like go against Frieren's wishes at the time. Granted, we know that she wanted him to join him anyway, but at the time she was like didn't want to deal with another genius. So like he goes after Zine and meets him in the poker table down in the hotel room and he's like I will, if you beat me in poker, I will join your team. And we hear a few minutes later Stark screaming naked, well not naked, he's got his underwear on, like in the middle of the town, screaming about like he lost his clothes, and apparently somewhere along the line Zine also lost his clothes and I guess his money. Well, that's intriguing. I guess he's not good with gambler as I thought he would be.
Did you notice that Fern became protective of Stark and gave him a coat to make him feel warmer? And then later when she got their stuff back, that she handed it to Stark. Okay, granted, she handed it like it was gross, but she handed it to Stark and she threw it at Sign.
I was hoping we're going to talk about that, because that's the reason why you watched this episode twice.
I'm telling you this because it supports my theory that she's slowly warming up to him.
I still firmly think she hates him, and I only say this because there's been no scenes of her in secret showing that maybe she cares. If any of the scenes we've seen that she has shown has always been in public, I don't buy it because she's been so rude to him. And I'm telling you right now, I'm sorry, I'm very heated about this.
By in secret, do you mean like where like no one else is around and she's like you're showing what her thoughts are?
Like that, or in situations like even with there's people around in the background, they turn around facing the camera, and it's like they're looking at you, but they're not. They're just like they're thinking, it's like they're thinking in private. She's done none of that. Not even a bit of like hinting. That's what I mean.
What about when she absolutely agonized over what to get him for his birthday? And spent all day shopping for a birthday present for him. That was in private. Nobody was with her.
Didn't I also go on a soapbox that her caring about that made absolutely no sense too? Did I get up in a soapbox and complain about that?
It makes sense if she's warming up to him and starting to care about him.
She's still rude other times, and it's not even like a ha rude. It's like very much like hitting at him personally.
I'm on the fence because sometimes I have a sneaking suspicion that she is a lesbian. And I've brought this up in the past, right? You remember me bringing this up in the past, right?
No, I do not remember you bringing this up in the past, actually.
Oh, I brought this up at least 2 or 3 times in the past that I've thought, not lesbian, but that she's attracted to Frieren. I think would be a more accurate version of what I had said. But she did openly admit that kiss would have knocked her over.
I could see that leading to that, but I also, and this is in general, I know females a lot more is the word open towards like sexualization of other women, and they're not as prudish as guys are at other guys. But I can see both. I can see both ways.
Is probably the word we're really looking for, but yeah.
Like I can see both sides, honestly. And the idea that her being lesbian did come in when she said that, but at the same time, I was like, I don't know. I don't want to say that she's a lesbian because, like, I feel like I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying it's like I don't know if there was any other signs.
Something wrong with it now?
No. What the heck? Don't you turn my words on me?
Why did you say something wrong with it in the same sentences? Go ahead.
I didn't see signs of that. If I'm being realistic, at least from my limited viewing of Fern and her interactions with Frieren.
So when she was, one of the examples I brought up in the past is she drank a potion that let her see people naked, and the first one she looked at was Frieren. I would also submit the fact that every boy that she's seen so far is a gross pervert, and she, when she and Frieren snuggie up with each other and stuff like that.
Are you saying that every woman that does that is a lesbian or bi?
Nope. I'm saying that so far her behaviors are more consistent with a lesbian's than with a heterosexual woman's. But if she's not a lesbian, then I think she likes Stark.
I still have a hard time believing the Stark angle. And I know you're not really pushing it. You're mostly just pushing it because it gets on my nerves. But
no, I'm pushing it because I do think that the story arc here, it's such an old, as someone that's read a lot of books in his time, it's a very old romance cliche for the romance interest to not be able to stand each other for the beginning of the story and then fall in love by the end. It's a very, very old trope.
No, I get what you're saying. I understand what you're talking about. I've seen this trope too, but at the same time, to me, what Fern is doing is so much worse than what happens in those tropes. Like, at least to me, it just seems rude. Maybe I'm pulling some from childhood trauma. I don't know. But it just, like, to me, she's doing a lot more than just, because, usually what happens in those situations, too, is that, it's not just the girl poking fun at the dude. The guy usually fires back. Stark has done none of that. Not even once. He's taking things so like seriously when it comes from her. He's just trying to be nice to her, and it seems like every attempt that he does, she spurns it as him being gross or something like that. And I will say, as much as I'm fighting against the whole Fern thing, I have to admit she's done some nice things before, but that aggravates me so much because it seems like she's a decent person, but specifically when it comes to Stark, she's so rude to him, and it's beyond just, passive aggressive rude. It's just like, I've seen girls that do this type of thing be a lot nicer in other cases, and a lot more often.
She does have her moments. She complimented him very strongly when he caught the fish at the end of the episode. She said, "I'm impressed."
Well, she's gonna go back to being rude to him again next episode, and that's my problem. She
probably less and less as it goes. Yeah.
She constantly does this. Huh?
Can I read you a quick passage from Emily Bronte's Pride and Prejudice?
Sure. I feel like I should have read this. Okay.
Spoiler alert. I don't think you're likely to read the book, but spoiler, do you mind if I spoil it?
Go ahead.
The main character, Eliza, falls in love with Mr. Darcy. Early on in the book, Mr. Darcy proposes to her, "Will you marry me?" Okay? Eliza's response at the beginning of the book, early in the book, when Mr. Darcy proposes to Eliza, is, and I quote, "From the very beginning, from the first moment, I may say, of my acquaintance with you, your manners, impressing me with the fullest belief of your arrogance, your conceit, and your selfish disdain of the feelings of others, were such as to inspire that repugnance, to which I will now add that you were the last man in the world with whom I could ever be prevailed upon to marry." That's her answer to someone proposing marriage to her that she ends up falling in love with.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like Stark didn't do that. He was just trying to be friends with her.
No, I just wanted to point out, you said that you've never seen something so severe in a story, and I just offhandedly thought of one story that was famous for, having this storyline that I was telling you about, and I just quickly Googled a passage, and that's the one I came up with. But there are the other examples in that, but there's other examples in other literature as well. It's just a really old trope for the people, when people fall in love, that they hate each other at first. It's like kind of eye-rollingly bad, in fact, because it's tiresome to see the same story over and over again. But I'm saying,
in that story, did he also fire back at her? Like every time she jabbed,
he jabbed too? Probably not.
Are you certain?
I don't have the text around that to jump to right now, but they bantered a little bit, but it doesn't have to be that story either. There's plenty of other examples.
Because what I'm referring to is basically the offshoot in Japan, which is called tsundere, which is basically a girl who's unable to show her true feelings. And that's what I mean. Is like there are feelings in there, but it's like she doesn't want to show them around the character. But at the same time, to me, it's like she's done none of that. Even with the whole, you want to make the argument that, her whispering to herself, trying to figure out a gift. To me, that really bugs me so much, because like it seems like she cares about him, but then she goes out of her way to be mean and cruel, and it doesn't seem like it gets less and less. It seems like it's the same amount. At least to me, it seems like it's the same amount.
The nice things are picking up, right?
But not frequently enough for me to let go of the meanness that she's doing.
Offhandedly, do you remember her specifically calling him Mr. Stark in this episode?
I feel like she did.
I don't think, and I'm very, very possibly wrong. I don't think she called him anything in this episode, but she did say Mr. Sign, and I know that because I wrote down the timestamp for it because I noticed it. I don't think she called him Mr. Stark or Stark in this. I think she called him nothing. So that's another little indicator, you know what I mean? That they've kind of moved away from emphasizing that she calls him Mr. Stark. Even if she's still going to call it to him, they're starting to show that, lighten up on the emphasis that she calls him Mr. Stark.
guess what I'll say to get off of this subject, I guess I will see. But I just like it still aggravates me because it's like to me she seems like such a nice girl. I think that's probably what it is too. Most of the time, the types of girls that are like this are mean off the bat anyway. When they first get introduced, she wasn't that way at all. Like she was very nice and very polite. So when she suddenly decided to be mean to Stark, it caught me off guard, and I just wasn't anticipating, and I didn't like that. It seemed like such a shift from the initial character that I thought she was. So like now it seems like okay, suddenly she's got tsundere in her, and I didn't see any of that when she was with Frieren. Now granted, I don't know why that would show up during Frieren, so I'll say like yeah, I guess it's really nothing that would have said that she didn't have it, but she just seemed so polite and so nice. It didn't seem like she had that. She had a rude streak in her. Apparently, I was wrong, but I just really her rudeness is really irritating to me. Because again, it's like it's not like Stark has done anything to really provoke that. Like I would say the boobs on the clouds. I mean, that's just male single maleness in general. But regardless of that, he's done nothing but try to be nice to her, and and she's done nothing but spurn those. It's not like he's trying to hit on her. He just wants to be friends with her, and she seems to be really like not wanting that, even though they're traveling together. Granted, this episode, I don't remember her calling him anything, and I will give you that. But I'm not. It's not like I'm blind to the nice moments. I just think there's so few and far between, as opposed to her mean moments. Now, if she stopped having those towards him, then I'd be a lot more forgiving. But because she's done him so much, and it seems so abrasive, it's like I just don't like mean girls, and it's like I can get over that if it's a part of the story, but it's like something about Frieren, it seems like so forced. Like it wasn't there before, and now it's suddenly there. Now if she suddenly starts calling him by Stark in his name, and she starts doing a lot of that, and she's a lot nicer, and she still has those mean moments, okay, I will drop it. Like you can hold me to that. I will drop it if that starts happening. But I don't know. But I'm not gonna really harp on it anymore. I've already harped on it. I know you're tired of hearing it, so I will stop that.
It's fine.
But moving on. Well, not moving on, but like yeah, they spend their most of the episode trying to recruit Zion, and he keeps on saying no. They make a couple of remarks of like Stark makes a couple of remarks about like because you see Zion's over at the poker table and he sees that he's got a cigarette, booze, alcohol, and he's like. He makes an interesting statement, which I'm actually kind of now it makes me think more about Hyder when he says it too. But he says is there like one step removed from depraved instead of corrupt? And I was like, I wonder if that's specifically why. I mean, then again, Frieren does make mention that any priest that drinks she thinks is corrupt, so that's mostly why she kept on calling Hyder a corrupt priest. It makes it interesting, like wonder why Frieren thinks that. Maybe she's met a priest in her time. Because she also makes mention she's never met a serious priest, which I find interesting. So I don't know what she thought about Hyder.
Dude, I have so many more notes. I'm like a third of the way through my notes. Just letting you know.
Man, I guess I can stop talking about what I'm saying and I can interject with your notes.
Oh, no. I'm just letting you know that I am not out of gas. Keep going. I'm just giving you the warning while we still have 40 minutes.
I mean, I got much more to say. I mean, they go the entire episode is them trying to recruit him. They eventually manage to recruit him after the older brother slaps some sense into him, saying that, you shouldn't hold yourself here for my sake. And then he decides to go with them only till the point when he finds his friend, and that's basically the end of the episode. They end up going. The town sees him off, and now he's a part of Frieren's crew. If there's anything else I can say, I can interject in your notes, but I don't think I have much more to say than that. So you gotta go right ahead and get through the next next like half of your notes. Go right ahead.
All right, 2/3 of my notes have not been covered. All right, I'm gonna go from top to bottom. Okay. I think I said this one real quick, but I said a sign seemed a little too similar to Himmel for me.
Yes, to that.
I wanted to know. I wonder what happened to Sign's brother. This is just more speculation. I hope we ultimately find out what happened to his brother. I know that that's for him. That's the purpose of his quest. The next one I have, again, my notes are sometimes light and sometimes more serious.
Really quick.
Go ahead.
You said his brother?
Sign's brother, yeah. He has two brothers.
No, that guy is his
best friend.
This is his best friend.
Oh, okay. All right. I wonder what happened to his friend. I hope we find out. What is, you know how Frieren at the beginning of the episode was gathering herbs? Mm-hmm. When she came across Sign? Mm-hmm. She spent a lot of time gathering herbs. What does she do with these herbs?
Makes potions. I also think because she keeps on saying she's got potions.
I've never seen her really use a potion. I've never seen her use a potion that she didn't purchase.
I mean, who's to say she hasn't been making them? I don't know. She's obviously gathering them for a reason. I don't know if there are spell components in this universe, so it could be. Who knows?
I hear you, but I did wonder. I'm like, she seems to always need herbs, but I've never seen her do anything useful with them.
Also, it could be fern that she's gathering for, actually.
Yeah, but what does fern do with them then? Either way. Flowers, I could see her just gathering flowers because they're pretty, but like when she was first found by Hyder and Himmel, like, and everybody and Ein, like, she was gathering herbs, and we've just seen a lot of her just as a hobby somehow, like just gathering herbs in the forest, and it's just interesting. Another one, this is probably me overthinking at 429, but she says that the reason they're leaving that town is because they need to restock and they need a larger town to do so. But like, what type of things would they need that a smaller town wouldn't have available? They're traveling, don't they? Don't all towns pretty much have food and provisions for a traveler?
No, typically depending like what the town specializes in, they could easily have some things that other towns wouldn't, and then vice versa.
I get that, but like, I mean, I like to assume that, you know, they have a sleeping bag and those kind of things. You know, the hardcore, like the hard tack stuff. I think that they've probably had with them for a while at this point. So I was like, not fast forward, but just to say that. Yeah. Have we ever really seen her rough it? In this episode, we saw her in a bed and she didn't want to get out of it. I just want to point that out. Yeah, we've never. I don't think we've ever seen them sleep in the woods or anything before now. We saw them sleep in a cabin, but I don't think we've ever actually seen them outside of a town or a building for the night. Do you?
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think. What you're saying is that, you know, because like they have a sleeping bag. That girl does not want to sleep on the ground. She literally was in a bed. Frieren had to shake her. And I don't even know how Frieren got her out of the bed. I just want to point that out. Normally, that's really difficult. Frieren doesn't get out of that bed unless she doesn't want to. Unless she wants to. Somehow Frieren got her out of that bed when Stark was in trouble. That's a feat. So I just want to point that out. To your whole sleeping bag and them needing to go to a bigger town, like that, I feel like that's just because Frieren likes, Frieren likes spending time in actual beds.
Okay. I get that, but okay. I love Stark's bromance with Sign. Sign's brother was pretty sure he was doomed. His friend was, I'm sorry. Sign's brother was, I don't know what I'm talking about here. Never mind. Oh, Sign's brother was pretty sure Stark was doomed. And then Sign was like, no big. And like walked by. That was very interesting. Sign did not have Hyder's endorsement, right? I wrote that he did, but he did not.
No, that was
here's a better comment. The party is almost the same as the original one, and it is the same in a sense. Both parties had a wizard, a priest, a warrior, and a hero, right? So in the new party, we have the priest Sign, the warrior Stark, the wizard Fern, and now Frieren is playing the hero, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's the same party. It's just Frieren is the hero this time. Frieren is, because she's the one doing everything that Himmel was doing. Or is it Heider? I get Heider and Himmel mixed up.
Himmel.
Which one's the hero? Himmel's the hero? She's the one doing everything that Himmel did. Like, and she's also, like Himmel, she's a redundant because Himmel seemed to be a warrior too. In this case, Frieren is a wizard too, but she's, they both have a redundant role other than the fact that they're the leader and the hero of the group. And 920, Frieren is very hesitant. I noticed that Frieren's been very hesitant about several things in the episode. She was hesitant about saving Sign. She's hesitant about how to heal Stark and whether to pick Sign as a party member. Ultimately, she makes the right choices in all three, but it's interesting how somewhat obvious choices to us are complicated for her. Stark, this is an interesting parallel here. Stark decides that he's going to invite... This is another example, by the way, of Frieren being demon-like, although it's very subtle, and I didn't catch it until my second watch through. Stark at 950 says he's going to invite Sign, and his exact words are, whether you like it or not. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I talked about it.
Yeah. Later, Frieren tells Sign that he's joining him, and I quote, whether he likes it or not, at 12:45. So that thing about demons imitating people, like Frieren does that a lot, and this is one more example of her imitating a human's behavior. After observing it, we saw that with the compliments in a previous episode, for example, where like she remembered that she's that someone gave compliments and then she liked them and then she gave other people compliments. There's this sort of mimicry approach to it. At 9:32, she says, an aversion to my own kind, I suppose, which is the title of the episode and spoken directly here. I guess she's talking about Sign being her own kind. Maybe in similar... Go ahead.
She's talking about the fact that he's a genius. She calls him that after he saves Stark.
Are you sure that it's not because they have similar views on their lives? Like that both of them became an adventurer when it was after it was kind of too late?
I wish I had an aversion to her own kind like that. I always took that as her meaning that because he was they were all alike, and that's in the sense that wasn't the case. And I know she didn't notice that, but I just took that initial because she didn't know that story, that he didn't that his hero friend came back to get him, and he said no.
Oh, he totally did. He told him it while he was sinking in the quicksand.
No, she didn't know, but she didn't know the full story, of everything behind it. I feel like after the fact, she.
Well, we got in while he's finishing up the story. It's pretty easy to assume that he told her all about it. Or that it's at least very possible that he told her all about it by then. In fact, where else in the story would she have found out?
She was talking to his older brother. They bring it out again. They bring it out all over again. I mean, if it wasn't necessary, I don't know why they brought it up all over again. I
don't know. She at least had a pretty good idea of how things went down at that point because he was telling her about it as he was sinking into the quicksand.
I just took it as she meaning he's a genius and so is she. So, and she doesn't like being one of the geniuses.
Mm-hmm. What else we got? This was an interesting little parallel, and I'm stealing this point from Reddit when I looked at the Reddit threads about it. But at one point she says, it's been over 500 years now since I've last fought a demon. It's interesting because that's about how old Aura, the balances or whatever. What was her name?
Aura the Guillotine.
Aura the Guillotine, the one with the balance. That's about how long she'd been active. Frieren says that Sign rubbed Stark, even though Stark had already told Frieren that it wasn't him already. I was curious, what do you think what was the point there? Why did Frieren insist that Stein had robbed Stark, even though Stark had already explained to her what had happened?
Stark didn't say anything. That it was Sign that said that it was the village chief.
13:45. Go check it and go double check me. I wrote the timestamp. easier for you to just hear it for yourself than for me to promise you that it's true.
Crap, okay, I gotta do that so I don't get in trouble with YouTube.
It's all right.
Oh, really quick, just to answer a question we had before. She says Mr. Stark once, as far as I can tell, is when Stark was getting robbed. When she heard him scream.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she says Mr. Stark.
Okay.
Okay, this is the scene. He says that the village chief robbed them both.
He says the village chief robbed them both, but doesn't Frieren say that Sign robbed Stark?
Fern says that, but I mean, yeah.
Frieren, I thought.
But like, Stark's on the ground, doesn't say really anything. He's down there crying.
Sign told Stark that it wasn't him that robbed Stark. Frieren accused Sign of robbing Stark, and Sign said it wasn't him already, like implying at 1345 that he'd already told Frieren that he wasn't the one that robbed Stark, which doesn't even make sense because if Sign robbed Stark, wouldn't he have more stuff than when he started instead of nothing? It was sort of an interesting line because it's not a mistake, and I'm curious why Frieren didn't understand that. Because it doesn't even seem human-like. It seemed like something else. Like she wasn't following what was going on there.
No, I think she was just saying why Fern was angry. Because he asked what set her off. And she just says what Fern says, which is like, you've robbed Stark.
But he didn't rob Stark.
Not according to Fern.
Or Frieren, who seems to agree. For starters, you robbed poor Stark, is what Frieren says. Or is it Fern that says it? I can't hear it right now.
No, it's Frieren.
Yeah. So Frieren accuses him of it, and he says, but I just told you, I'm not the one that robbed Stark.
I don't think Frieren believes that. I think she's just saying that's what Fern believes. Regardless of what he has said out loud.
Why would even Fern believe that?
Why is it that Frieren's got to believe it? Wait, what did you say? Sorry, I think I'm missing all kinds.
I said, why would Fern believe that? Why would Fern? Okay, let's say it was Fern.
Because she doesn't like CERN. Not CERN. Jesus.
But it defies all logic. He's out there in his underwear, with nothing, and she goes in, talks to the person, the exact person that robbed them, and then comes back out and says, "But it's you that robbed him," even though she's giving him back the things that were robbed from him too.
She doesn't.
And also, it's not even a robbery. They lost at fair and square gambling. It sounds like, but it's such a nonsensical statement that I really had trouble understanding what was going on there.
I don't think there's anything to understand. Fern is literally upset, and she saw Stark naked, as what you said earlier about her caring about him. She's very upset. I don't think after she saw Stark, I'm pretty sure she didn't hear anything else.
Okay.
She's just upset.
All right,
and he is responsible, kind of, because he's the one He's the one that had Stark get involved in gambling in the first place. So in her mind, by proxy, he did rob him, even though he didn't get close because he got robbed.
It's just nobody robbed anybody.
The village chief robbed them, so there was a robbery.
No, he won him. He got a gambling. He did rob him.
That's still robbery, regardless.
No, it's a consensual thing. They consented to a game of chance, and they lost. There was no one said anyone was cheating. It's not robbery, and then he gave it back. What?
You don't know there's no cheating.
We don't know whether
you're assuming there's no cheating.
No, I'm not assuming. I'm saying that we don't have any information to conclude that somebody was cheating. And then when they go in there, he in fact even gives it back.
I mean, she also doesn't like not robbery. She doesn't like gambling. She also makes that statement very clear too.
Winning in a game of poker is not stealing from the people you played against.
Not to again, it's like I think really just she sees Stark down there naked, feels bad for him, sees a sign. Okay. She just knows nobody. She doesn't know sign at all, so she doesn't know what happened. Even regardless of like what he said, like to her, he could be lying. So she's not gonna believe him anyway.
How can he be lying? He doesn't have her shit.
She doesn't know that.
He doesn't have his shit, and she went and talked to the person that did have it and got it back.
Would you believe
she knows
Zion,
that he doesn't have it, and she knows who does have it, and she went and got it.
Would you believe Zion though, or even believe the people that gave you the stuff back for free?
Nobody.
Belief situation.
Nobody that was there disagrees. Zion, Stark, and Sign agree on what happened, and there is overwhelming evidence to prove that that's what happened. Nobody talks about cheating; it's not brought up. So, and gambling is fundamentally sneaky, dishonest, perhaps, but it's not stealing. It might be conning somebody if you're being like, I don't know, if you're being manipulative, I guess there could be I am overthinking, but I just didn't understand the scene and I wanted to. It was like I didn't understand what was going on there.
I don't think you needed to. Fern just does not like gambling. She feels bad for Stark because she's been traveling with him, knows literally nothing about Zion. To me, I don't think her reaction was uncalled for. Because I would react that same way too, regardless of what he would have told me, because I don't know him. I don't know what he is like if he is telling the truth or like that. Regardless of what he looks like, you're going to be angry at the person that you know least. And she knows Zion. She doesn't know Zion at all. She only knows him when she met up. That's just my.
I don't fault her for how she felt.
My fan goes off. Okay.
It's fine that she was upset. It just doesn't make sense, the conclusion she drew. For someone as smart as her, the conclusion she drew about who was at fault and why was nonsensical.
I wouldn't believe him either, if I'm being really honest, regardless of what he looked like. And I just like, honestly.
Why wouldn't you believe him?
He's a stranger.
If you went out and you saw someone, if you saw two people, if you saw someone you know fairly well for the last month or two, and someone that you met a week ago, and they were outside and they had lost everything in a game of poker, and both of them said they lost it in a game of poker, and you went in and talked to somebody who had won the game of poker, and he was nice about it, and he gave everything back, and everybody seemed to agree that it was lost fair and square in a game of poker. Nobody talks about foul play. No one talks about anything like that. Why would you then conclude that the person that had won it, that everybody agreed had won it, and they gave it back good-naturedly out of the kindness of his heart back to people and invited them to the festival that was coming up soon, was a thief?
You're assuming human emotion is rational.
Fair enough. But I think it was a little silly. Okay. Frieren, another demon-like thing that happens is Frieren not understanding the implications of what older ladies means. A little more understandable than some of her demon-like behaviors, but she didn't understand.
Well, actually, what was that to understand? She is an older lady.
Because he doesn't want an older lady that looks like she's 12.
I
or
don't think. I
16
think
or
it's because
whatever.
she's an elf and he's not attracted to that. In my legitimate honesty, like I could see tapping Frieren. She's not ugly. I'm just gonna point that.
Yeah,
But I'm just saying,
but
for me, what I took from that scene, I know you're talking about,
mhm,
she looks like a child, point blank.
mhm.
But like, he's not into elves because he does make mention because she tells him, "You also probably didn't notice I was an elf," and he said, "Yeah, I noticed you were an elf," and it sounded like he
No,
was they didn't do anything
no,
for
he
him.
didn't say yeah, because I actually have a separate note about that. He didn't say yes. I noticed you're an elf. He said that his brother told him
But the
that
way he
Farron
said
was
it,
an elf.
sounded
He
like he
said, "Yeah,
must have noticed it.
my brother told me a while ago."
He sounded like he was
It
saying
was
that
that was
sarcastic.
no, that threw me as weird. I was like, why did his brother have to tell him that she was an elf? Even if he did tell her it was an elf, why did he bring that up as his like point that he knew she was an elf? Why don't you just be like, yeah, it's obvious? Why would you be like, well, first I was told by my brother?
But here's the thing.
It's
Before
weird.
sorry.
Like it'd be like me looking at you and saying, yeah, Jesse told me you were black. You'd be like, you needed her to tell you? Like what? You know what I mean? Like
I don't think that's the point. I think from what I was extrapolating from everything he said, the idea
yeah.
was the fact that elves didn't do it for him. Because he even to me, when he said, "Yeah, my brother told me about that," like to me that sounded very sarcastic. Like almost, of course I noticed you were an elf, but that doesn't mean anything to me. Again, it's the whole idea that some people are into elves and other people aren't. I think that's really what that
Yeah.
was coming down to, is that he just was not into elves. And
But Farron's very clear misunderstanding was that she thought that he was into eight older women because of their chronological age and didn't understand that there was another connotation there.
okay, I guess that else could be, but actually, probably again, whatever. I just I
That's
feel
where
like
that's where Farron went wrong. Like she didn't understand that older woman had an implication that had nothing to do with looking like a 16-year-old elf that was 1,000 years old. That's not the same, and she didn't pick up on that. Not the biggest deal in the world.
I feel like
What?
to me, I feel like that's the same. Like, I mean, because she's still older than him. I get the idea that he's looking for somebody maybe 10 years older than him. I get that. I'm not dumb. I'm not naive to that. I'm just saying, but in all honesty, I don't know if it was a misunderstanding as much as she was understanding the literal sense of that word. Okay, I'm shutting up.
Yeah, he wants an older, experienced, dirty woman who is interested in exploring their sexuality and has been around the block and is relatable to him, and not a 1,000-year-old elf that looks like she's 16 years old.
I mean, just changing music.
Fine.
Literally, as soon as you're talking about the Pokemon thing started playing, and I had to move it. I can't have that playing because it's gonna get flagged. So it's already probably too late. As far as like,
Very well.
I get everything you're saying. I'm just saying that
Uh-huh.
to me, like in general, I just took that as he's not into elves, and it doesn't matter how old she is, because like again, she's an elf and she looks younger. But yeah, like whatever. I mean, people get stuck. I really do say people get really hung up on younger looking characters, and people get really even though they are 30 or whatever like that, because they look like they're like I don't get the point, but whatever. I get it. Some people's not interested in that. It's just I feel like they're older. They're of consenting drinking age. I don't know, like why does it matter the way they look?
Did you watch Invincible?
Nope.
There's a character in there called Monster Girl, and she's a woman. She's 26, I think, was her age, canonical age, and she can turn into a monster. But every time she turns into a monster, she gets younger. So she's a 26-year-old woman that looks 14 years old, and one of the ongoing challenges in her life is that she can't get a date because she looks 14, even though she's chronologically 26.
I get for some people that's a hurdle, but at the same time, they are still of age and they can prove it with the idea they're fucking. I don't like. For me, it's like these characters in the fictional universes. Like I don't know why people are so hung up on some people when they look a certain way, even though they're actually older. But that's something I'll probably never understand, and I'm not trying to understand it. I'm just saying that it's something. While I understand that that's a thing that happens, and some people do have hangups, it's just like, okay, I don't know. Just be you.
I dated this very short girl once that in some ways looked childlike, and I was very uncomfortable about that. I really liked her, but I was very uncomfortable that she looked a little childlike in some of her features. It made me very uncomfortable.
Well, that's towards that. I'm just saying, well, you have the right to not feel comfortable, but at the same time, you're probably not the first one that she's dealt with that had a problem because of some of her childlike features. I feel like that's I think what the problem I have with people who have an issue with people who do a little younger, that you're really doing ostracizing those people, not on purpose. It's just like because you have a problem with the way they look. Well, they can't change how they look. That's genetics.
And I worked to be, and it didn't make or break anything. But I had to be open minded. Do you know what I mean? I was like, this is something uncomfortable feeling I sometimes feel is just something I'm going to need to work to get over because it's not her fault, you know. But anyway.
And also, I want to point out too, there's a lot of Hispanics and blacks that have that don't age as quickly, and they'll look younger than they look. And I don't know, people don't have a problem with that. Just gonna
she wasn't Hispanic or black for the record, but yeah.
I'll lay that on the table, and I guess we can move on. But I understand what you're talking about. I'm just saying that I don't know. For me in general, I understand people have hangups about that because everybody's got their own hangups. But I feel like, man, that's a really interesting hang-up considering that person might be of your age and they might be into you, but because they look like they're younger than you and you're afraid of what that might look like, it's like, I can understand if they were that age, then like, yeah, you might have a problem there, but they're not.
No, she was 30, but I don't know. I think that wouldn't be for everybody.
I just feel bad for those people because, like, you know, like, until they get older, they're not going to look any different. Okay.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of ways that you can have a look about you that people find not sexually desirable that is unfortunate.
I get that's why I said everybody's got their hang-ups. It wasn't specific to ages. Everybody's got their hang-ups.
When she does seduce him, this is just a lighthearted comment, but I thought it was funny how the kiss she blew, like, only went halfway, or like slightly more than halfway, and that it nonetheless works on Stark, Himmel, and Fern pretty hardcore.
Can I say something about that? And it's not about the kiss. It's mostly about that. I don't know if I like Flamme sometimes because it's quite clear that I feel like Flamme is like pulling pranks on Frieren sometimes. And other times, Frieren, because of how naive she is, takes a lot of what she says as gospel, and she employs it 1,000 years down the road, or how much longer she was dead. It just seems very not backhanded. I just don't like how, because Frieren is definitely naive, and she still is naive, because she clearly thinks that what she's doing is going to work on everybody. I just don't like how, like, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot more that Flamme taught her that isn't true. Especially if I want to bring up 2 episodes ago, the bottle that dissolves clothes. Frieren believed what Flamme told her about that. So I don't know.
Yeah, she really did mislead Fern about a lot of things, didn't she?
This is just another piece of evidence for I don't know how much I like Flamme. She's interesting. It's just like the things that I'm guessing Flamme thought that Frieren probably would never employ half the stuff she taught her, but clearly she was wrong. But that's all I'd say about that.
That's all good. All right, let me check my further notes. Hang on.
If you need to go over, don't worry. I'm not the one who usually goes over anything.
I think we might be on pace. I don't have that much more. This is another just kind of lighthearted thing. Say the kiss seduction thing had worked. What was like her next goal? Like, what was her end game for that? Like, what was the plan if it worked? Was she gonna like get involved in like sexual relations with him, like in some sort of awkward, like learned about sex from like aliens that learned about sex from like watching like Bollywood movies kind of way or something like that? Or like what did she think was going to happen after the kiss worked?
I didn't really think that far because I knew it wasn't gonna work. But
It's just like, what did you think was going to happen next, Fern? I really wanted to know. Like, if I was there, I would have asked her. I would have been like, if I was one of the characters, I would have been like, Fern, if it worked, what was your next step? You know
based
what I mean?
off the way Himmel, I give you a example. Based off the way Himmel kind of fell out, maybe she was intending to drag him with them against his will.
Maybe, yeah, maybe she thought it was going to like knock him out or something. But then, like, and then when he woke up, he'd be willing to go with her. But like, I don't know, it also raises a lot of questions about what Himmel did next.
You know what? Never mind. Nope. We don't got time for that. Moving on. We don't got time for that.
Yeah, it's true though, right? Like, and I'm like, okay, what did Himmel do after like she blew him a kiss and he passed out? Like, what was his next play?
I honestly don't think they did much or anything at all. Because I mean, here's the thing. I guess we're gonna go on this road. I hate myself. Like I feel like if they had a one night stand or whatever, or just one night together, I feel like Frieren wouldn't feel like she didn't get to know. On a hypothetical situation, on a perfect night together, I feel like Frieren wouldn't feel like she didn't get to know him when he died. Just my naive, like blue sky, pie in the sky thing of like, I feel like they would have talked through the grunts.
Maybe.
What?
Maybe for sure, but
so I like she wouldn't feel like she didn't get to know him. Just saying, and she would need to go to heaven to try to get to know him. I feel like her actions.
At the same time, it does make sense that even with that, she'd be like, okay, but it was just one night, and one night is like a blink of an eye for me. I mean, in real life, there's people that like have had one night stands with people and then told them, look, I don't know you. You know, we had a one night stand, it was fine, but I don't know you. And like that's a conversation you could see happening between a human being and another human being that had a one night stand together.
Well, this is a human being and an elf.
Right, but if it was two human beings, you know what I mean, like where one of them didn't see the world in scale of thousands of years rather than 80, you know what I mean? You could feasibly see one of them saying to the other, look, we had a one night stand, but I don't know you. I don't know who you are, you know what I mean, other than that one night stand. And like, you know, you seemed fine for that night, but it's over, you know, or something like that. Like you could see that conversation playing out.
Actually, this is one last thing before you continue your notes. This just popped in my brain. It's interesting that Himmel went out of his way to get Frieren. I almost wonder if maybe he first saw her, he had a crush on her. This is just a hypothetical thrown out there, and like I'm actually kind of curious if maybe he did. But then again, he didn't act.
It seems like the way he acted as an old person when she came back, it seems like he was very in love with her.
So I probably was like wondering because he went out of his way to get her, and it sounds like she said no to him a lot of times too before he convinced her to join them up. So I'm actually kind of curious. Like it's possible, like you know. But again, I don't know. Like again, I feel like if that happened and they did do it, considering they were together for 10 years, this wasn't just a one night thing. If they were doing it, I would think.
Or they did it once and he spent the rest of the time trying to tap that one more time and it never happened.
Okay, what's your next note? I hate myself.
Yeah, you could see that though, couldn't you see like Frieren just kind of like him making passes after that and Frieren not even understanding that he is not even sexual harassment, her just not getting it at all.
Well, the thing is, she knows what love is though. I'm just saying, you know, she knows what attraction is. And
she knows what reproduction is.
I think she knows
I don't know. I know she knows of it. I don't know if she understands it. I know that she knows that it's a thing, sort of, that her master taught us about and did a very poor job of doing so, as we both agree.
I feel like she knew what attraction was before. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm out here by myself. Don't mind me, but just like.
Well, she's openly said like elves don't really get that stuff. Like we're not very big on the whole reproduction scene.
Something about that tells me I think that might have been a new thing. Maybe they were, because like there was a huge amount of elves. There's no way they didn't.
There wasn't a huge amount of elves. We don't know there was a huge amount of elves. We know that there's at least a village of them, but we don't know there's a huge amount.
I feel like there's a lot more than the village that we saw, but that's just my.
I mean, an elf could have one successful reproductive sex once every 1,000 years and still increase their population, provided that the demon lord doesn't try to kill them.
I was thinking you're assuming that's the lore they're going with the elves here. I know that's typically what the elf lore is anyway, but I don't know if that's the lore.
You definitely know of one elf village and the only elf village that we're sure exists. We in vague mentions that there might have been other elves, but the only elf village that we're positive existed was destroyed by the demon lord. We know that there was at least an elf that didn't live in that village, so that implies that there are other villages, but we don't know that there was like kingdoms of them or anything. It might have been a few scattered villages of them.
I feel like if they were scattered, they would not be as like well known by humans. I mean, they're probably fabled, and I feel like, and I kind of fable, but at the same time, is I feel like an elf, like there had to have been way more, because like the idea is that humans or whatever would have to have encountered at least one. It sounds like they were definitely encountered. Some people would say that they at least believe they would encounter one elf in their lifetime, like maybe like 25% encountered, 75% not encountered. That's still high odds for a creature that doesn't really like to be around other living beings.
To be fair, almost nobody that we've met in the show so far has met an elf before.
That's not necessarily true, because some of those places, like they met Frieren back before 10 years ago, so they
right. Unless they specifically, other than having specifically met Frieren, we don't know anyone that met the other elf. For sure. You know what I mean? We assume that he's bumped into people, but we don't have any proof that he's bumped into people. So we don't, I'm not suggesting he hasn't, you know what I mean? But we don't know how many he's bumped into. But we don't have any hard and fast, like, proof that they've ever met an elf other than Frieren before. And they more generally have met her, 50 years ago.
I'm just really trying to find that. I think Frieren knows what attraction is, but maybe she does. I don't know. I will say I'm not backing off the idea that Flamme taught her bad. I still, oh boy,
yeah, Flamme didn't do a fantastic job, or she did the best possible job, depending on how you view sexuality.
I feel like Flamme really just preyed on her in innocence. I feel like that's what she really did.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Yeah, I hope we don't find out that her and the master did some stuff.
I don't.
That would be so sad.
I'm gonna.
All right, ready? Go ahead. Are you ready for more stuff?
Never mind. No, you can go with the notes. We don't need to dwell on this anymore.
We do not need to dwell on this anymore. I didn't get the joke with the tiny tub and the tiny sickle. At first, I thought the tub was supposed to be some sort of beer mug, and then he was complaining the beer mug was too small, and that it was just awkward translation of the original dialogue. But then he walked out with a sickle, and I'm like, no, this is definitely a tiny stuff gag. But I didn't get, like, why do they have tiny things? They never explain why it's happening. What?
Budget
you know cuts. That, or just making something up?
No, that is literally what I mean, it wasn't explicitly said as budget cuts, but it sounded like they needed to cut back to make things work. It was like basically they had to, like, he was cutting back way too much because they needed money. Because, like, I mean, even the brother says, like, I understand cutting back, but this is ridiculous with the tub. Basically, he said this is ridiculous. Why, like maybe we, like, this isn't big enough to do what they need to do. Was the idea. I feel like it was a really poorly executed joke. It probably meant more in Japanese, Who really knows? But I feel like that was a budget cut joke. I used to say that out
Okay.
loud. So like, oh, that makes more sense like that.
Okay, thank you. I struggled with that one. I think I missed the part where you talked about cutting back, but I kind of struggled with that. I was like, I don't get what the joke is that they're trying to land here.
They did a really poor job of with the tub. I will admit. Yeah.
Okay. The tub especially threw me off because I thought it was a joke about his drinking. At 22:30.
Sorry, just
No, do you know what I mean? I thought he was coming in and saying like, I need a bigger mug to drink from.
Yeah, no, that wasn't the. I think maybe it was that was mistrend. That was like that wasn't understood by you. I don't know how you could have made that any more clear because it was just a tub that they made small. I mean, I will give you that. I did.
I thought it was a poor translation. I was like, I think they translated this poorly or something because the only way I could make that make sense. Because why would I assume that they really were saying that they bought a tub that big? Do you know what I mean? And then they came out with the sickle later, and I said, okay, I'm misunderstanding the cup joke. It was really a tub. But now I don't understand either joke.
Yeah, it was just
and then
it was the I don't know.
I think because I saw the second one. I think because I saw the second one second and realized that I was wrong about it the first time around, and they don't say anything about budget cuts the second time when I started understanding it. That I was missing something. I think that's why, because I didn't get the hint the second time around because I didn't get that hint from the first time around.
Yeah, I don't think it's like. I mean, I knew it was definitely a joke about having to cut back. I didn't tell you sure it was a budget cut joke, but that's how I'm taking it because that's technically what they've done in other shows when they did that kind of joke where like they cut things back. So basically, what they do is they shrink things. It's just a funny thing because it just looks funny. I will say poorly timed, or not poorly timed, but they didn't do a good job. I guess the tub probably would have been better explained maybe if he had said out loud.
Still there?
Hello? Hello? You mean you can't hear me? Oh. Hello?
There you are.
Well, it's no longer red. I don't know what happened there. I didn't do
That's
anything.
all right.
It just suddenly pinged, but
Tell
me
me the rest of what you were saying.
I forgot. No, it was just like I know I've seen the joke of like them shrinking things as a part of a budget joke before. I think that's basically what I was saying, and that's like why I think that's what it looked like to me. Because I know they made mention of like I know we needed to cut back or something like that, and you know he just like and his brother said like something on the lines of like less is more. I think is a word like that. It was mostly like a cutting thing joke, but it doesn't really matter. I think if you got it, you got it. If you didn't, you didn't. I mean, hey, I don't think it takes away from anything. I would say the drinking thing actually was really funny. I didn't even think about that.
No. Anyway, all right, what else do I got? I only have 2 real points left. When Cyan asks where Fern is going, where Frieren is going. All right, I'm going to try to start this instance over. When Cyan asks Fern where she's going, she says, heaven, of course. And that, one more time, I'm going to say might be, it could be a joke or it could be her mimicking and acting demon-like. And I think it's probably a joke this time, but I'm just throwing that other musing out there. And then my last one was just an observation I stole from Reddit. If you think about it, all of the current main cast are orphans. Frieren, Stark, Eisen, Frieren, Himmel, Sign are all like orphans, and they're all a found family together. They don't overtly state it anywhere, but it happens to be true, and I thought that was really interesting.
Do you really be considered an orphan if you have a brother or a sister?
Yeah, orphan means you don't have parents.
Okay, I mean,
as a kid, you're a child without parents. That's what makes you an orphan. You can have a brother and still be an orphan if you're a child and your parents are gone.
okay. I mean, I got
That's my
nothing.
last point.
I got nothing to argue on that one. You said something before that. What was it?
I said a lot of stuff, dude. I talked for 2 hours. Well, you're gonna have to be more specific.
Well, it was right before you made the orphan comment.
What I said before the orphan comment was about how Frieren told Sign that she was going to heaven, of course.
Oh, well, okay, I guess it's like the last thing I will end on. Why do you think that was a joke or her acting demon-like? Did we expound? Because that's where they are going. I mean, not in the.
If she was teasing him for being, a priest.
Oh, I didn't.
If she was being playful and being like, hey priest, where am I going? I'm going to heaven, and like playing up the fact that he's a priest and making fun of him a little bit for it.
Okay, well,
or it could have been like demon-like mimicry, or it could be something I'm not even thinking of.
Well, okay. I don't know if it was. I don't think that's demon-like mimicry.
I don't think so for this one, but I threw that out there to plant the seed in case this becomes more relevant later.
I don't know if she's like, and I don't know if she's really playing around because like that's where they are going. Like they are going to the place that is called heaven. I don't think that was a joke for the priest's sake. I will say he did respond in that way, so I guess you could say maybe what. I don't know because that's where they're going. That's the place that is literally what the place they're going is called. Like,
well, the fact that she says "of course" means that he should have guessed that, which dulls the theory that she's giving him a literal answer and not being playful.
I really took that as
because why would he know they were going to heaven if they hadn't told him and she meant the place?
Well, I didn't take "of course" as being as playful banner, so I guess like that was where I guess lost in translation was me.
Maybe
I just took that as like, because like I mean, the place is literally called heaven, and he does this. It's not like he says like I should have known. He just says I should have asked before even joining you guys where you're going. But I guess he responds with like, well, like we're all gonna go there eventually. So I guess maybe he doesn't know the place called heaven, which is interesting.
Yeah. The only other reason I could think of that he might know it is because at the beginning of the episode, he warned her about the snakes on their journey somewhere, and she should have been like, he might know because like, she's like, I told you earlier, where we were headed, and so of course we're going there still. No, I think the writers were at least having fun with that line. Even if Frieren directly was not having fun with that line, I think the writers were having a little joke with themselves about it.
Yes, and that's another point where Japanese doesn't like English dubs, but okay. Ruining our jokes. But okay, with that, we'll come back next week for another podcast. And we'll see what we're doing Thursday. See you guys then. Good night, everybody.